he had to turn around from his son because his son, which was perfect, had sin on him.
That's crazy, bro.
Had to look at his one and only son.
That's
had to
crazy,
look away
bro.
from him. And Jesus felt the pain because God's been with him all his life.
Yeah.
And he feels God look away from him and cast himself away from him. And he's like, God, why have you forsaken me? Which is, why have you left me?
Man, what's going on? It's your boy Coley Cole.
And it's Elijah Winston.
And this is the Impact Podcast, where we inspire and motivate using practical and Christ-like techniques.
So make sure you sit back, relax,
Maybe even grab some snacks
and enjoy the podcast.
Facts.
It's basically, it comes down to like commitment and stuff and like what you say you'll do or what you say you won't do, because in this case it was like financial commitment, like, oh, I'm gonna borrow some money here and I'm gonna give him the money back, with or without interest. But like even commitment or just like saying what you mean, you know what I mean?
And meaning what you say, man.
Right. Because I know there's a lot of times where people can be like, they'll just say yes to be nice, or like they'll just say it because they ain't have nothing else to say, like, oh yeah, sure. But it's like, if like in this example, if you're like, yeah, well, you can pay me back. Oh, I'll just get you back, and then just throw out a random day. Like you have to, and that's why that's kind of crazy. I was literally just talking to my teacher about like how I was super hesitant to join the broadcast team that I'm on now. And now looking back, I'm so glad I did. But when she offered me the idea, like I'd be so hesitant if you make a decision on the spot. I'm super hesitant because and that's one of the things my dad says too, is if you have to make the decision right away, don't do it, because you need to have time to think about it and think about where you're at, think about where the situation is at and where it could take you or not take you. And so I was like, I don't know. And she was like, how about you try it out for a week, and then if you don't like it, then you can leave. First day, I was like, yeah, this set in stone.
This ain't for me?
No, I was like set in stone, like I'm here.
Oh, man.
Where I'm at now. Yeah, I was first day, I was like, yeah, this is where I need to be. But, like, if she didn't give me that time to truly, like, process and figure out if that was something I need to do, then I wouldn't have been that certain about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because to me, I have to, like you said, mean what you say and say what you mean. So you can't just agree to everything.
Yeah.
And you can't say yes to everything. You literally cannot.
Yeah.
You have to, because this is something I really struggle with. You have to make sure you get all the details beforehand before you make a decision or before you make a commitment to anyone or to anything. Make sure you know all the details.
Speak that.
Like it, or as much as you can know about it. Because if I say yes to something and then I start operating in it and it starts progressing forward and I get deeper and deeper in it, I'm waist deep into it, realizing I don't want to do it. I should have tried to get that information before I even step foot in the water. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And part of the reason a lot of people struggle with keeping their commitments is because they don't know the full scope of what they're committing to when they say yes. And you have to know the full scope of what you're actually committing yourself to. Because if not, it's natural for somebody to be like, oh no, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore. But if you think about it like beforehand, you can say, oh yeah, that's not something I want to sign myself up for.
Yeah.
And then you didn't waste any time. And so when you make your commitment, like, be truthful too. I know a lot of, like you said, don't just throw something out there that you know you can't, like, do.
Yeah.
If I say, hey, I'll pay you back Tuesday, and then Tuesday comes around and I don't got the finance, I shouldn't have said Tuesday.
Yes, and I won't look at you less as a man. If anything, I'll look at you more because you know
That's
yourself.
as a person.
Yes, and I can respect the fact that you understand and want to respect my money that I work hard for. Like,
one of the biggest pieces of advice I've gotten as far as making commitments, And especially when it comes to like business.
Yeah.
If you're doing something for somebody, or like if you have a task that you have to complete with someone else involved, it's always good to underpromise and overdeliver.
That's good.
Because if you underpromise and say, yeah, it's gonna take me about a month, and you get them to them in a week, now they're like, oh man, he did that pretty quick. I thought it was gonna take a month, but it only took him a week. Versus you saying, yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow, and then it takes you a week.
You know that's what restaurants do?
You said restaurants?
Yes. When they say, hey, for you setting up your table, like they say it's gonna take 30 minutes when it's really gonna take 15. So you're preparing for 30 minutes.
And then it looks better.
And then it looks better on them. They always you said under-promise?
Under-promise and over-deliver.
They do that, yeah.
That's crazy.
And just to have that precaution, they expect 10, 15 minutes, but let's say it doesn't take that long.
Yeah.
Let's say usually it'll take, because of some, people coming in and out, or this specific table is taking too long, it might take 20, 25 minutes, but it'll never hit that 30-minute mark.
Yeah. And this is the thing too, if you expect it to take 15 minutes and it accidentally, something comes up, because you can never predict.
Correct.
Something comes up and it might take 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it still looks good to them because it's 5 minutes early.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things, it's like, if I say, hey, I can pay you back in a month, even if I have the finance, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I can have an emergency, I have to pay something, like something big could go down. I need to be able to give yourself margin time.
Yeah.
That's what under promising and over delivering does, is gives you margin time.
Yes.
So you're able to be really impressive, or you're able to make up for some type of unexpectancy that happened. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're still true to what you said you would do. That's the biggest thing, is keeping your word.
Yes.
But when you under promise, over deliver, like, you keep your word and then you impress the person. So now it's like a credit score. And they're like, oh, we got a good repertoire. I can trust him because one time he said he'll take a month and he only took a week. Yeah. And it just looks good on people and it builds better relationships.
The other thing that me and my mom talked about this morning, this is the specific thing I actually want to talk about. I was just talking to my mom about, the $20 thing, right?
Right.
And I was playing a scenario, because I'm goofy than a mug.
Great.
I was in my room getting ready, and I was thinking, like, bro, it'd be so far if I hit him with this line. Because if, like, let's say, because, when it comes to high schoolers and us in our generation,
right,
we like instigating and challenging.
Yes, we do.
So if I'm like, you know what, bro, just don't worry about it, because don't stress the money, because you can't keep your word. And then if he was immature, he could be like, well, what you about then? I was playing this in my head because I'm goofy. I was about to, because you already know me, I'm not fighting for no reason unless it's a last resort. Because I got a lot riding on my life, my reputation. I'm not going to fight. I'm not. It's not worth it.
I feel you.
If you want to, boast up and say, oh, I made him run away, that's fine. You can boost your ego. But you're going to look bad because of that.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just to add on to what you say, because my head moves like that.
You good?
The only way it only boosts your ego around people who operate like that.
Ooh.
But, like, to the people who will mean the most to you, they're gonna respect you for walking away.
Oh yeah.
But for the people who like to start mess and like to gossip, they're gonna think of more of the person who like made the guy run away.
Yeah.
But it's actually more mature to just like humble. It's kind of like humbling yourself.
Yeah. Because
you gotta let go of your ego too. They ain't the only person with an ego. We got an ego.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you ain't make me run away. I just walked away because I was humble. But you gotta and it'll bring the right people around you based on how you do. Yeah. And so it doesn't boost their ego around people like you because you don't think that's cool. Mm-hmm. It only people who think that's cool. I'm sorry, but yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, if it ever got to that point where I was like, I had to have a physical altercation with somebody,
right?
Because I'm goofy. I was like, yo, I might need to say this, like, before I start brawling. He said, man, you ain't gonna do nothing. Come on, I got you in this corner. What's up with you? I look up to God. Lord, forgive them for they do not know what they've done. And it's raps, bro. That is heat.
Bro, no.
That is heat.
No.
But instead of saying, forgive them, I said, Lord, forsake them. And my mom was like, hey, that's not, you're not using that correctly. Jesus said, God, forgive them for they do not know what they've done. Yeah. But he said, God, why do you forsake me? Right when he was on the cross?
That's what he said.
And then this is where it got like juicy. That's what I'm talking about. My mom was telling me like the definition of forsake. Mm-hmm. When he said, God, why have you forsaken me? Or why have you forsaken me? It's because God turned around and couldn't look at his son. Because when he was on the cross, he put all of the world's sin on him. And God cannot look and put himself around sin.
No, he can't.
So when he had to turn around from his son, because his son, which was perfect, had sin on him.
That's crazy, bro.
Had to look at his one and only son. Had to look away from him. And Jesus felt the pain because God's been with him all his life.
Yeah.
And he feels God look away from him and cast himself away from him. And he's like, God, why have you forsaken me? Which is, why have you left me? This is painful.
Yeah.
I've been with you all my life. This is for real the most pain I felt, which is me not being connected to you.
Yeah.
Like,
dang, bro.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's pressure.
And this is what's crazy. So because Jesus, or because God, he was very salty. And he was like, oh, forget y'all. He started shaking the earth, like the sun went away and everything. Wow. God was ticked off. But Jesus...
At the sin?
At people. Because what they were doing to his son. He was ticked off.
Oh, wow.
But Jesus said,
forgive them.
And then all that stopped.
Dude, no way.
I was like,
wow, bro.
Because God was heated.
He was pressed.
Yes, that's his only son. And he's giving his only son to these people who sin all the time. And Jesus is now carrying the burden of all this sin. And now because of this, because God keeps his word, once again, a man keeping his commitment. Yeah. He can't be around sin.
Wow.
So he had to look away from his own son.
That's terrible,
and because of that, he was heated. I can't look at my sin because of y'all. Oh, forget it. I'm going to start shaking the earth. Bro. I'm going to start taking the son away. Just start doing stuff back and forth. And Jesus has to, Jesus being so selfless, says, Lord, forgive them for they do not know what they've done. Which is, as in they do not know what they've done. They know what they're doing, but they don't know who they're doing it to, which is their Savior. Which is God. Because Jesus is 100% man and 100% God.
Imagine the person you put on the cross saving you. Like that. What's crazy is oh my gosh, bro. He saved them because they put him on the cross. Like he had to end up on the cross and bleed.
Yeah.
Like he knew where he was going.
Yeah.
Like in the Garden of Gethsemane, like I feel like Jesus knew where it was all going to happen because he was like crying blood tears.
Yes, man.
And he accepted it even before. Mm-hmm. Even before he went up there. So when he went up there and they started tripping, he was just like, Lord, forgive them. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing. That is the most selfless place to be at because we could be like, oh, well, he blah, 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 blah. But do they know what they're doing right now? Mm. Jesus was like, they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know.
That's ignorance. He was saying that for the people who would give their lives to Jesus or would accept Christ and then start walking in their purpose. Yeah. Because, oh my gosh, that's just crazy, bro. Because you might not be there right now, but like Jesus sees your whole life. Mm-hmm. And he was so focused on their salvation that he wasn't worried about where they were at in the moment. Yeah. So he said, forgive them. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So
I was telling my mom, I was like, the reason why I was like, oh my God, Mom, because I was putting myself in that scenario. And I was like, everybody dying. As in, everybody. Yeah. No one wants me to be God. I'm just being for real. I'm killing everybody. I'm killing, like, I put myself in the scenario of like a father and my one and only son.
That's so
I
crazy.
gotta put him on the cross for all these suckers who sin.
And then your son is begging you for it not to happen. To the point where he's crying blood tears to you.
Yes.
And it's like, please don't make me go through this. And you're like, nah, I gotta do this for my people. Sorry, son. You gotta die. Imagine that. And you ain't got no more children.
And the thing is, even and this kind of correlates to how how
God, dog.
like when it comes to I think when for example I do something bad to my in my as a son to my parents, like I disrespect them or something, or I do something at school that I'm not supposed to do. There are some times where my parents are disappointed, that disappointed the face they give.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I correlate to when it's when God looked away from His Son. I'm so engulfed in sin, when I do something bad, and they still have to show love and compassion, but they just feel pain in their heart because they're sad. Why? Why does my son do this? With God, it's I can't believe I can't look at my son because of, because of these other people.
Because technically, since Jesus took on the burdens of past, present, and future sins.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yes.
Past, present, and future. And He took them on as if they were His so that He could die.
Yeah.
It's because the reason that was so significant was because if you sinned and Jesus wasn't there, you had to get a bird or something and cut it. I don't know. It was a small blood sacrifice. So that sacrifice took on your sin, and then you killed it and let its blood shed, and that was the atonement of your sins.
Yeah.
Jesus took on all of our sins as if they were His, and then died for them. So before He died, He had to take the weight and burden of all of that sin.
Does that mean because remember He's 100% God and 100% man, right? So there was no way He could have died. Because He can't die. He's
Yeah.
So there's no way He could have died unless He took all the sin of the world. Which shows how, first of all, how powerful sin is to us. And how, kind of how much it, that sin was the only way to kill Jesus. That shows how powerful Jesus is.
Oh.
And that shows how powerful sin is. Because sin was the only thing that could kill Jesus in the flesh.
Wow.
Because
the wages of sin is death. That's the scripture.
Yeah.
It literally tells you sin leads to death.
Ooh! Bro, so literally the only way Jesus could have died.
Oh my gosh! Whoa! Yo! Whoa! Whoa, dude, whoa, man. I'm tripping.
Come on.
I'm tripping.
Bruh. Talk it, man. Talk it. Bruh.
That's crazy. I've never thought about it like that.
Bruh.
If the wages of sin is death, and Jesus had never sinned in the entirety of His lifetime, the only way that He would have been able to die is if He had... Whoa, dude! The only way He could get to death is sin.
The only way. But He's never sinned, so He had to take it for everyone else. For Him to die and sacrifice for us. Sin that has been done, sin that is being done, and sin that is going to be done.
Because technically the only reason that we're guaranteed death is because we're born into sin.
Yes, but Jesus wasn't.
Born in iniquity.
It was
Holy Spirit and a virgin.
Yes, the purest of pure.
Yo, that's crazy! So literally, Jesus could have lived forever. Whoa! No, that's because when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was like, is there any other way that this can happen? Because he knew what he was about to endure, and he asked the Lord, is there any other way this can happen? Like, and I could just imagine God being like, no.
Nah, this is the only way.
Because I'm such a man of my word, I cannot have you die other than through sin.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot die other than sin. Sorry, son. Gotta stick to my word.
Oh my God.
Gotta stay committed to what I said.
This revolves all the way back to how powerful man's word is. My gosh. Wow. That's why when a man's word is his bond, and we're supposed to be Christ-like. We're called to be Christ-like when we're Christians. So when you say something, you do, man. Because God and Jesus did that. God, because he loved us, us sinners, because he loved us, he had to have it to where his son, who was born in purity,
wow, bro,
from a virgin,
wow, bro,
he had to. He said, you have to die this way because of my word that I said.
Dude, that's
for us. Oh my.
What the mess? He said, you have to die this way.
You have to. I know you want another way, but this is the only way. So when he had to turn around from his son because